Hi, I'm Nicole with Shea Calves, and I'm here with Trixie's Mr. Blue Scooter. I'm going to give you his final video. The first thing is I'm going to scan him for his microchip. There we go. Now we do microchip all of our puppies when they're little. You've already seen this in his first update video. Now, I do recommend that you register your contact information with this number fairly soon, within the first couple days of getting him. Real quick, I'm going to show you the hot dogs. We use this size treats. We use small, soft treats. I'll get into that in just a second. I'm going to finish with the microchip first. Now, with the microchip, you are going to get a copy of his number in the puppy pack, which is something you'll get with him. I do recommend that you register your contact information with his number fairly quickly. There's instructions, a website, and a phone number that you can use to do that. Now, with the hot dogs, we use small, soft treats. We use chicken or turkey hot dogs. I don't recommend pork or beef. They're greasier, especially the beef. It can upset their tummies. Now, you don't have to stick with the hot dogs. You can use any small, soft dog treat, whatever he likes. You want it small because, one, he's a small dog. You don't want to fill him up. Two, it's a treat. You don't want to be feeding him treats. It's like Snicker bars. You want him to actually eat his food. So don't give him too many treats where he's not eating his breakfast or his lunch. And so you want small treats so he doesn't fill up quick. The other thing is, if the bigger the treat is, the longer it takes him to eat. Excuse me. So you want small treats so he can eat them quick. He can focus on you and focus on the training. If it's a crunchy treat, we want soft treats, because if it's crunchy, he's going to look for crumbs. It will take longer. A soft treat he can swallow down. The same size crunchy treat he's going to probably chew. And so you want him, again, to focus on you to eat the treat faster. The smellier it is, the more likely he is to follow it. He loves his treats. He does love these hot dogs. He does really well at following them. He's really food motivated. And so I do recommend using something stinky that he really likes. The smellier it is to you, the more likely he's probably going to follow it and want it. And he's going to work hard for that. He's going to really focus on you trying to get those treats. Now, emails. You have received a lot of emails already. You're going to be receiving more. Read through those, at least skim through them, because a lot of emails will have a subject to start and something else is put down towards the bottom. So at least skim through your emails. Now, one of the ones you want to focus on in the beginning is the potty training emails. He's not going to forget his training, and so we do ask that you wait 10 to 14 days before you do any strict obedience training. We want you to focus on bonding with him and the potty training. He is potty trained for his age. He's meeting his goals, but you want to make sure that that he knows where to go. You need to tell him, or you need to show him which door to use. Use the same door every time you bring him out to go potty. That will help him tell you when he needs to go potty. Most of our puppies will go to a door and sit, or they'll go to a door and look at you, or they'll go to the door and then come back and come back to you, or go back and forth, something like that. Every puppy is a little different, but the majority of them will actually at least approach the door that they need to go potty, or what we call it, the potty door. So they go to that door, they go out that door to the potty spot. Now, give him a potty spot. If you give him the entire yard, he's going to be too busy playing and investigating and exploring and all of this to go potty when you really want him to go potty. If you give him a small area, he's a small dog, so he only needs a 5x5, not even that size, but give him about a 5x5 area. And that's his potty area. One, it makes cleanup easier because it's contained in a certain area for you. The other is it tells him that this is his potty spot. If he's a very particular spot to go, it's going to help him know where he's supposed to go versus where he's not supposed to go. So again, same door every time you bring him out for potty, and then bring him to the potty spot. A very small spot will be better. That will help him. Plus, once he goes there once, he's more likely to go again because it will smell like his potty, and so he's going to want to go there. And so I do recommend to bring him to the same spot every time. Now, I do recommend for 3 to 5 days, don't bring him for a walk, don't bring him anywhere. The vet visit is the exception. But for the first 3 to 5 days, we really want you to just bond with him. He is a love bug. He loves being with people. That's actually one thing that he struggles with sometimes, is he wants to be with you so much, he struggles with stay, or he might have a bad day with kennel. He just wants to be with you so bad. And so I do recommend 3 to 5 days before you take him for a long walk. He doesn't need a long walk anyway. He's a very small dog. He's a young puppy too. The other thing is new people. Now, he is very friendly, but he needs to know who his new family is. And so it's not so much too many people would be too much for him. It's he needs to know who he needs a signal to go potty, and he needs to know who to really bond with. So we recommend 3 to 5 days before you bring neighbors over, extended family, anybody who doesn't live in the house. Keep him for the first 3 to 5 days. The only people he The only people who he bonds with, keep it to be the people he lives with, the people he'll see on a daily basis. Then you can slowly invite other people over, or after 3 to 5 days, bring him to go see them. Try and keep the crowd small, though, because the more people, the more overwhelmed he can get. So be careful with not giving him too much too soon. Now, we do recommend 10 to 14 days for obedience. You don't need to do any obedience for the first 2 weeks. Now, he's a pretty good boy. He's a love bug. He should bond pretty quickly. He's not skittish or scared of anything, at least that I've seen. So he should be fine. You might not have to wait 10 to 14 days, but that is what we usually recommend. That's for the average puppy. Now, that's for obedience. That's for stay and place and advanced obedience. If you put him on a leash, he can't pull from day one, because if he pulls for the first 2 weeks and then you start making him walk right, he got away with it once. He's going to think he can get away with it again. So exceptions are, don't let him pull. If you do put him on a leash, good boy, no chewing on it. The exceptions are jumping. Don't let him jump from the beginning. He's a small puppy. He's a Cavalier. They are jumpy breed in general. He wants your attention. If you're standing or you go to sit, he might jump to try and get closer to you. Don't let him jump. Tell him off. If he does not get off, you can leave the leash on him and let him drag it around, but make sure if he starts to chew on it, you're able to see it, because you don't want him learning that behavior. 1, it's not a good behavior to chew on your own leash, and 2, you don't want him eating it, because that can become dangerous. But you can let him drag the leash. That way, if he jumps, especially in the first couple days, you can use the leash. It's simply a down into the side correction. It's the same correction for down. It's just a pop down into the side, and he knows that. If he jumps on you, you can step into him. You can push him off with your leg. If he goes to jump and you see it happening, if you step away from him quickly and he doesn't actually land on you, that will help him not to jump. You can turn away from him. If you put your back to him until he stops jumping, you're shunning him, and then he'll learn, oh, you don't like that behavior. You only give me attention if I sit, or as long as I keep 4 feet on the ground. The other exception to the 10 to 14 day obedience, or no obedience, is going to be sit. Make him sit for attention. If he wants something, you can tell him sit. That's fine. He only gets whatever he wants. Attention, treats, food, whatever it is from you. He only gets that if he sits. And he knows this. He actually is now to the point where he will offer down if I don't give him what he wants as soon as he sits. Then he'll lay down. He's a goofball, and he's very, very smart. So he knows if he wants something, he's got to offer something. So make him continue with that behavior. You have to give me something to get something. Now, we do use, I just showed you the hot dogs. We have 3 transfer tools for you. One of them is this leash. Good boy. You are going to get a leash just like this. It might be a different color, but it's going to have a handle on one end and a small metal ring on the other. You simply put the handle through the metal ring, and it creates a loop. This loop now, because it's on a metal ring, when you pull, it tightens up. When you let go, it will loosen up. So the corrections on him is a pop and release, pop and release. If you hold it tight, you're putting pressure on his neck. It's squeezing all around, and there's tension from him all the way up to you, and that's not good. And so it's a pop and release. Make sure when you, and it's quick. It's a pop and release, just like that. So when you give him a correction, very easy. He's a little guy. He doesn't need a hard correction. But if you give one correction and it doesn't work, you need to go a little bit stronger for the next one. The other 2 transfer tools we have for you is the verbal word and then the hand signal. And I do recommend in the beginning use those together. He knows them separately, but you want to use them together so he learns your tone of voice, he learns your hand signal, and so you're more kind of right there with him and making sure he does it. Sometimes with the down, he'll sit right back up again as soon as you praise him for down, so be aware of that. He's getting better, but he does test me. He is in his teenage phase, and he is a little bit of a tester. He's not bad. He wants to please you, but he's always ready to move on to the next thing instead of holding and being patient. So he may sit up from a down once in a while. That is one thing he struggles with. Good boy. You're a very good boy. Usually one reminder during a training session on that, and then he remembers, oh, I have to stay in a down. So it's not a big deal, but I just wanted to be aware of it. Now I'm going to go through these 3 transfer tools as I go through all of his commands. Let's go. Good boy. So I tell him let's go, and he walks on my left side. He should not get too far in front of me, off to the side, or under my feet. I only give him half a leash because that's all he needs. If I give him more, he can get out of this obedience range, the proper range. Good boy. He can get out of where he's supposed to be, and he's not pulling. And so if you use half a leash, I don't have to watch him when I'm walking. I can feel where he is. Good. And it's very easy to give him a correction. If he pulls in any direction, I just give him a pop on the leash, Good boy. And all I have to do really is just a flick of the wrist. Now, he got a little bit in front of me, so I did have to move my arm back a little bit. But if he pulls, I can just pop the leash, and he knows that. Let's go. The other thing I can do is when I stop walking, he needs to sit next to me. Very good. If he's having trouble focusing, I can take a couple steps, get him to sit. Good boy. A couple more steps. Good. And then I would do this until he's focused. So this works really well, especially if he's charging ahead. He's really excited about something in front of us or going forward, or it could be walking home. You go around the block. When he knows you're about halfway home, he starts pulling because he's really anxious to get back home. Make him walk slower. Stop more often. Things like that will help him if he's charging ahead. The last thing I can do, and this is if he's just all around distracted by everything, but he's not crazy pulling, is just turn quickly. Good boy. In the opposite direction. Good. If you walk a little bit so he's paying attention, and then go back in the original direction. Good boy. Usually he's really good about paying attention, and he doesn't walk under my feet, which is really good. Once in a great while, he might get under my feet, so I do watch him. If I'm not looking at him, I'll make sure I have the leash a little bit tighter than he needs, just to make sure. Good, because I don't want to step on him. He is just a little guy. Good boy. So again, a pop on the leash. If you give a light one and he doesn't respond, give a harder pop. Good boy. Sit. So so it's sit for sit. Your hand comes up. I usually start at their nose, especially in the beginning. You sit. Good. See, he's offering down because he wants something. If he doesn't sit, it's just a pop straight up over his head like this. And it's the same for the auto sit. If you're walking with him, he is sliding. That's one reason he's offering down. Good boy. If during the auto, when you're walking and he doesn't sit, don't say sit. Just use that leash correction. If he doesn't do it, then you can throw in that hand signal. Remember, hand signal for sit, your hand comes up. Down is just a point to the ground. So for down, your hand goes down. For sit, your hand comes up. Good down. Good boy. If he doesn't down, or if he breaks a stay, it's down and to the side. It's the same as off. Stay. Stay is just a flat palm. It can be hands up or hands. No, you don't need to eat dirt. Here you go. Down. Down. Stay. Stay is just a flat palm. Fingers up, fingers down. It doesn't matter. Make sure he sees it. This is one command. I mean, he does know this one, just the word. He does know just the hand signal. But this is one where through his entire life, if you can do both, I recommend doing both. It'll just help really signify or tell him that you really want him to stay and you mean it. Good boy. Good. Stay. Good. Now, if he breaks a stay, if he's in a sit, if he gets up, put him back where he was, tell him sit, and when you give him the sit command, because he broke a stay, give him the correction at the same time. Again, the sit correction is a pop up over his head. If he's in a down like he's in now, and then he breaks that, I'm going to bring him back where he was, and I'm going to tell him down with the pop down. One thing I do to start is I'll go, It's a verbal correction. You can go, anything along those lines. It's a noise, not a word. I don't say no because it's overused in human conversation. It will lose its value to him. He won't care if you say no to him or if you say no on the phone. So it's a noise. It's think of it as if a child is about to touch something hot. He's about to touch the stove. You want to give whatever that noise that comes out is, that's what you want to use for him. Now, I use it as a reminder. If he starts to move and break a stay, so he moved too far. He almost self-corrected. He almost just laid down. Down. Good. Stay. So what I did is I brought him back where he was, and I told him down with the correction. Stay. You re-give that stay command, and you make him do it again. So he almost stood up there. I gave him He stopped moving. He focused on me. That's where you want to use it as a reminder. But if he gets up, like he just did, and he kept coming, he's And if he good. Can be something as simple as one syllable. That's fine. The harsher and crisper it is, the more likely he is to respond. He does self-correct at times. He is actually usually really good about self-correcting. If he breaks a stay and you go, and you step towards him and he stops moving, he puts himself back in a down or back in a sit, however you had him, praise him for that. That's a self-correction. Good boy. Stay. Good boy. Now, he has a couple of releases. I can either call him to me or I can tell him, okay. Good boy. So I tell him okay, and I say it in a fun, higher-pitched voice. It makes it fun for him. I can tell him let's go, but that's if I'm with him, because let's go is let's walk. And I usually will use that off of place, not out of a stay. But okay is his release word. That means he's free from whatever I just asked him to do. Kennel. Good boy. All the way in. Off. Good. So kennel, I ask him kennel, I walk him up to it. You may need to lure him in a little bit the first time you put him in the kennel at home, because it's a new kennel. He know, off. Off. Good boy. So I used my knee to make the kennel make a noise, and he got down. He should not climb on the kennel. He needs to be quiet in there. A little teeny bit of crying is one thing. Maybe if you can deal with that, if you can just ignore it, then let him cry himself out, in a sense, if he decides to do that. But if he's barking, if he's jumping, if he's going crazy, you want to correct that. You can do that by hitting the top of the crate. It makes a big loud noise. If you can use your knee or your foot, that works too. That way you're not using your hands. You can shake it like a mini earthquake, or if you have a water bottle, you can squirt him with water. That works too, a squirt bottle. That can work too. It doesn't always work, but it should work, especially for him. He does not like water. Good boy. Now he's being really quiet right now. That's what you want. Calm and quiet in the crate. But off. Good boy. So he puts his feet on the crate. I tell him off. I back away from the crate. If he had continued to climb, If he had continued to climb on the crate, then I would have, off. Good. Then I make a noise. I just kick the bottom of the crate. It makes a noise. Good boy. He's not allowed to climb on the crate. Good. Now I open the door and he's not supposed to leave. He has to stay in the crate until I tell him to, or until I give him his release word. I could tell him again. I can tell him okay. I can tell him come, and I can tell him let's go. Good boy. I tend to just say okay for the crate. Now if he needs to go potty, if he's in there, if he's in there and he starts to get antsy, he's been good, he's been quiet, he's been comfortable. He starts to get antsy, he starts to make noise, he might need to go to the bathroom. The only time you let him out of that crate quickly and when he's making noises is when you think he needs to go potty. And if that's the case, you tell him okay as you go to open the door. So before the door's even open, the door's closed, you go okay, and you go to off, good boy. And then you kennel. After we give the command, because I want him staying in the kennel, off. Good boy. But you'll tell him, you'll give him that release command as you open the door, or just before you open the door. Bring him straight to the potty spot, and then bring him right back to the crate. If he gets out of the kennel for any reason when he's crying, if he gets out of the kennel for any reason other than potty break and straight back into the kennel, he will cry to get out when he wants anything else. If he wants food, if he wants your attention, and that's probably what it's going to be with him, because he loves attention. If he wants your attention and he gets it when he's been crying in the crate, then he's going to continue doing that. So the best thing you can do if he cries in the crate is ignore him or squirt him from a distance with a water bottle. If you go to him, if you are at a distance and you approach the kennel, even if it's to make a noise and to give him a correction, he may see that as a positive thing because you came to him and gave him your attention. So be careful with that. Good boy. He is such a love bug, and that's why I'm going over that so much. Good boy. So because I pick up his leash, because I touch him, because I give him hot dogs, that does not mean he's allowed out of the kennel. I can cross in front of it. Good boy. And he's not allowed to come out. Now I use a gentle correction there because he put his foot up on the edge of the kennel. That's a step towards coming out of the kennel without being released, so I wanted to correct that. He should keep all of his toes in the kennel. Good boy. Okay. Good boy. Good boy. Even when I'm giving him a treat, he has to put all 4 feet on the floor before he gets a treat. Anytime those front feet come off the ground, that treat is now hiding. I usually put it behind my thumb and hold it like this. It'll be, there's no treat in my hand right now, but I'd hide it behind my, I'd hide it behind my thumb, and once his feet are down, then I give him access to the treat. If you treat him when his feet are off the ground, it will reinforce jumping. Place. Place. You have to get up there. Place. Good. Good boy. So place is simply he has to get up on the cot. He needs to stay on the cot. Place. Good boy. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I can be doing busy stuff near him, busy stuff far away from him. I can be very calm and quiet. I could sit down near him or sit down far away. He needs to stay on that cot. The second one foot comes down, you have to correct him. For him, the best thing is and walking really fast towards him. That kind of tends to stop him. If he gets down or doesn't put himself back up, you need to take the leash, put him back up there, and give him a little bit of a pop. It's not much. It's not a, he doesn't have to be in a sit or a down, so there's no really direction for it. I usually just do almost a sit type correction. Place. Good boy. I usually just do a pop up. He's a short dog, so, I mean, any basic correction like that will be up. But he just has to stay on there. So again, if he gets down, I'm about to pick up a hot dog I just dropped. Good boy. Good boy. He's right on the edge, but he stayed put. Very good boy. Very good. So he needs to stay on this. Again, it doesn't matter if I'm sitting next to him, if I'm sitting far away. Good. You got to stay on place. Good. So a little verbal reminder, he was starting to step off. He stopped himself. I walked into his space to get him to back up instead of continuing to hang off the side, because that helps him not want to push it. Good boy. So I have to watch him closely. He is in his teenage phase, so he does like to test me here and there. He's also very excited, and so that's hard for him to control himself. He has a hard time with self-control when all he wants is love and attention, because he's such a love bug. Yes, you can have another piece of hot dog. Good boy. He's just so cuddly and lovey. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Good boy. Place. Anytime you touch him and he's supposed to be staying or on place or in kennel and the door's open. Good. If you touch him, if you give him physical affection, that's his most favorite thing in the world. If you do that, make sure when you walk away and he's supposed to be staying put, you watch him, because that is the biggest time he's going to break that command. Because he just wants more of that attention. Good. Okay. Good. So his release command is the same. Good boy. It's okay, and that's for anything. Okay simply means the command is done. Now, when you get him, you're going to have this leash. When you start practicing come, you want to start by simply walking with him. Scooter, come. Good boy. Off. Good. I told him off. He got off on his own. He didn't need a correction for it. If he did not put his feet off my leg and onto the floor, within another second, I would have used the leash to give him that off correction. Let's go. So you simply start with this leash. You walk him forward. Come. You call him back to you. He needs to sit when he comes. Good boy. Very good. And usually he's pretty good about that. He might stand on your foot. He's a small dog. They tend to do that. And he loves being as close as he can, so he's prone to that. Good boy. What you want to do is you want to start with the short leash. Then you go to a longer leash and then a longer one. If you don't have a leash, don't say come. If you don't have treats, don't say come. He needs to get a treat every single time for come. It doesn't matter if he's 2 months old, if he's 2 years old, or 12 years old. If you say come, he has to have a treat for it. He has to have some kind of extra reward for it, make it extra special. You need to practice it so it's something fun. If the only time you tell him come is playtime is over, or it's come and you're going in the kennel, you're going to be locked up for a while, he's not going to enjoy that command. So keep it fun, make it a game. You can have multiple people where you have a few people spread out. Tell him, one person tells him come, he comes to them, he gets a treat, he gets praise, he'll get some affection, and then the next person calls him, and then if he goes to them, then he gets praise and treats and things like that again. And then you can eventually move it outside. Keep him on leash or in a fenced-in area. He is a small dog, and that's simply for his safety. But again, start with come on this leash. Don't say come if you don't have a leash on him, and don't say come if you don't have treats. I would say up until the first year, don't say come unless he doesn't have unless there is a leash on him or it's an emergency situation. That if you treat it that way, if you only say come when you can make him come to you, especially up until that first year, he's going to think he has to come every time, and he's going to want to come every time because you make it fun for him when you practice it. If you do that, you're going to have a dog that's not going to lose that command. That is a command that is hard to keep at times. The dogs will, the dogs will either lose respect of the command because it's no fun when they do it. The only time you say come is when something is either done, they were playing, they were sleeping, now they have to be locked in the kennel, now they have to go in the car. It becomes unfun for them, so keep it fun for them, and he'll want to do it every time. Now, if you have any questions, you can email us. We'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours. Congratulations on your new puppy, and thank you so much.